Good morning, and thank you for joining us. It's now time to welcome our next presentation from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation.
Hello, everybody.
That's what I thought. Okay.
I love it. And I got good news, too. This is going to be a great press conference. So my name is Trevor Paul. I'm Group Vice President over Planet M, which is the state of Michigan's economic development program focused on the future of mobility. Now, in Michigan, we believe that the future isn't just necessarily something we enter. It's something that we create today. We also believe that the future will belong to the states and the communities that prepare for it best. So in that spirit, as Michigan continues to focus on the future of mobility, our leaders here on the stage and all around the state aren't just looking at talking about emerging technologies or researching emerging technologies. We want to deploy, leverage these technologies in meaningful ways to improve the quality of life and the safety for citizens all over the state. That's pretty cool, right? Right? Yeah, okay. So that's why I'm so excited. I'm losing my voice right now to tell you this. We have 4 new pilot projects that we're going to talk about today. They're going to impact some awesome people in some awesome communities in a big way. And I'm so honored to have our governor here today, Governor Whitmer. And yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
As well as our director of the Michigan Department of Transportation, Paul Edgerbaugh.
Hey, Paul.
And this young man next to me, the CEO of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, Mr. Jeff Mason. And so these 4 projects were born out of something called the $8 million Michigan Mobility Challenge. And this was something that was launched last year to address mobility gaps that exist currently all around the state for the elderly, persons with disabilities, and veterans. So we paired companies, advocacy groups, regional transit authorities together to come up with solutions. And just this past October, we released the first $3.5 million to 9 projects that did things like reduce late rides for the elderly in northern Michigan and leverage autonomous robot technology for deliveries to those that are homebound. So today, we're going to announce $4.5 million that are going to go to 4 communities for 4 projects: Battle Creek, Grand Rapids, Southeast Michigan, and Central Upper Peninsula. Really cool stuff. And seriously, these pilots are going to introduce dynamic ride sharing and autonomous technologies in places where it's kind of hard to get around. So this is going to be a game changer for some folks. So these awards are essentially to develop and then deliver services for 3 to 6 months. And then after that, local fairs and local partners are going to step up to support the effort. In closing, before I hand it over to Governor Whitmer, just on a personal note, this is the most meaningful project I've ever been a part of. Working through the unique challenges that face the elderly, persons with disabilities, and veterans, I mean, guys, that's precisely what we got to be doing to design a better Michigan and to design a better world. And these leaders up here, as well as leaders all over the state, believe me, they believe this. The new mobility revolution is not just about making our cities safer, more productive. That stuff is great, but it's also to uphold a person's dignity, every person's dignity. And with that, I'd love to introduce Governor Whitmer.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here with all of you today and on this stage with these phenomenal leaders. And we've got some great news we're going to make today. But, you know, I want to start with this. Too often when we talk about mobility, we have a tendency to go straight to self-driving cars and autonomous vehicles. But what we really should be talking about is how this technology and innovation that is happening right now can impact and improve the quality of life for people. Not just here in Detroit, but in our urban centers, but I'm talking about people in every part of our state, from Manistee to Munising to Monroe, from Traverse City to Tawas City. There is opportunity here on the mobility front to improve people's lives. The projects that we're about to announce today are going to make it easier for veterans, people who served our country, for those who are not able-bodied, and for our senior citizens, so that they can fully participate in our society, doing things that so many of us just take for granted, going to the doctor or picking up groceries. So mobility solutions, including driverless cars, really offer us the opportunity to grant every one of us the dignity and precious autonomy that comes with this technology. Soon, we will no longer define driving as something that is limited to 16-year-olds and above, but something that is accessible and available to all. And that is incredibly relevant here, where 14% of our population is 65 years or older. So I'm thrilled at the prospect of automakers in Michigan leading in developing technology that's going to give our people mobility options. You can just imagine how that improves your quality of life. We have an opportunity and we have a responsibility to advance our state's technology and automotive landscape in a way that also improves the quality of life for countless Michiganders. Better yet, the work being done through the Michigan Mobility Challenge can offer a blueprint to the rest of the nation, show the world how to optimize mobility and improve transportation for citizens who may not be looking to a self-driving car, but who do need an affordable, reliable way to get through their daily lives. So our highly collaborative environment has played a significant role in setting Michigan apart. We are leaders in this space, and we are going to continue to be so. And today's project announcements are no exception, bringing together state government and departments with regional transit authorities, advocacy groups, local government, education institutions, and technology companies, and startups, all working together collaboratively toward a more accessible state. So there are many of you here in the audience who made the trip here from far away. And I want to thank you for showing up, for being an advocate, and for being a part of this great time in Michigan. And with that, I'd like to introduce our new Director of Transportation, Paul Ajaba, and the CEO of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, Jeff Mason, to take it from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's great to be here today with Jeff to present these 4 grants that we're going to be announcing today. Transportation, economic development, and ensuring accessible, inclusive Michigan to all go hand in hand when we talk about the thriving state of Michigan. With that in mind, we're going to announce the 4 final rounds of grants. The first one is the Southeast Michigan Integrated Platform for Paratransit Services. They will receive an amount of $1 million for an integrated online booking and trip management platform, creating a one-click experience for users of the Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority, which is very near and dear to my heart, the Detroit Department of Transportation and Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transit ADA Paratransit Services.
The second grant we're announcing today is to Team Grand Rapids and their Interurban Transit Partnership, who will receive $373,000 to utilize a dynamic rideshare app for paratransit services in Grand Rapids to improve rider experience by shortening trip duration and reservation lead time. The partners include the Rapids, the City of Grand Rapids, Disability Advocates of Kent County, and VIA.
And the next grant is the new Autonomous Mobility Vision for Michigan. They will receive a grant of $1.2 million for an autonomous electric shuttle at the Battle Creek VA Medical Center.
The fourth and final grant will go to the Michigan Universal Vehicle Ecosystem Pilot, which will receive $1.1 million for a ride-share and community building platform in the Central Upper Peninsula that will focus on increasing accessible transportation options and decreasing isolation for those with mobility challenges. The project lead is P3, and the partners are MOVE, UP Commission for Area Progress, Delta Area Transit Authority, Schoolcraft County Transit, Dickinson Iron Community Services Agency, the Upper Peninsula Central Planning and Development and Regional Commission, and the Veterans Affairs. The power of these projects is their impact on the lives and independence of residents right here in communities across the state of Michigan. And I'm proud to introduce Dr. Kimberly Kennedy, who's a great champion and advocate for persons with disabilities, to speak to that impact. Dr. Kennedy?
Thank you. We don't always think about the impact that it has on our quality of life. For them to come up with the mobility grant was just awesome to fill in that gap. I am a United States Navy veteran, and as you can see, I am considered disabled. And many times, we didn't have transportation to get to doctor's appointments, or even if you wanted to go to the symphony, it was not available for us to do. And many times with Uber, I tried with the Uber, and they would ride past me when they saw me sitting outside in the wheelchair. So to have an app where I can just click on and just on demand is awesome. And there have been many times with the paratransit system, when you are have the ride share, the time that you're on the bus is almost 2 hours. And I think that this is going to be a great improvement to our transportation.
All right. So we're going to get into questions in just one moment, but I do have a couple of thank yous. And the first is to you, because in the bowels of DTW Airport back in May, we had a workshop that brought together companies, global corps to Silicon Valley startups, advocacy groups, and regional transit. And you were my rock through that event. You let me know awesome feedback that ultimately shaped the solution. So I just want to slip in a quick hug. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And to those companies, those advocacy groups, and those economic development partners, you guys rock. We did it. And these pilots are going to be on the road impacting lives. So with that, I'd like to open it up to anyone with tea and honey or throat lozenges for myself, but also to questions about this specific announcement. Questions?
Thank you all. My question is the need to balance the new and sexy and the old and true. I think it's important that we maintain our investments in fixed bus, paratransit as we look at new options. How will this administration do that balance, not just with transportation investments, but community development, economic development, anything? And I'm thinking some type of principles where if there's credits or grants, that there is some type of rubric in which people get more points for looking at people with disabilities, seniors, other people who have no other options.
Well, thank you for the question. I think, one of the reasons I wanted to be a part of this event today is because it is exciting work that was all being laid the groundwork before I became governor. I've been on the job for 15 days now. So I am here and I'm grateful to be a part of this, but let's be very honest. There's a lot of work that's going on in state government to figure out how do we make sure that we are encouraging the kind of investments that really translate into improving people's lives. How do we ensure that our director of MDOT is always thinking about creative, innovative ways of not just fixing the roads, which I ran on, but doing it in a way that makes Michigan a leader when it comes to continuing the work that we're doing in mobility. And so that is kind of infused through the work that is going on in the individual departments. One of the great things that we have in Michigan is the MEDC, which is a unique creation to harness some of the great strides that we're making in business and marry them with some of the work that we can do as government. So marrying those two things, I think, is always something that is at the forefront of what we're thinking about as we prioritize everything from the budget that I'll be writing and introducing soon to the policy that we will consider as I am sitting at the governor's desk and working with the state legislature.
I would like to speak to that. I think that's awesome that the governor is doing that. But the one big thing, I think, to really answer your question is that they are including those grassroots organizations and advocacy groups that disability advocates, which I am a part of, And we're all at the table, and it's a collaborative effort. So it's not just them at the government level saying, okay, we're going to make these changes without asking the people that it's going to affect. So I think that really might answer your question, that the people who it's going to affect and their quality of life, they are at the table.
Hi, Dana with MLive. So mass transit has been a huge talk in Michigan for several years now. How will this administration work to connect various regions across Michigan with mass transit so people can get from cities like Detroit to Novi and other areas where there are some transit gaps?
So mass transit is something that has vexed us as a state, and obviously regional transit connecting the region is something that I've always supported and that I want to work with local leadership to make sure we get it done in the very near future. But how do we connect the whole state? I know that MDOT is working on, we've got new leadership, and the great thing, one of the things that sold me on Director Ajwa was his innovative solutions around what happened on I-20 or Interstate 23, and the lanes that he built were his vision about thinking, how do we do this better, smarter, not being constrained with how things were always done. And I know that as we go forward on transportation, mass transit, that MDOT and local leadership are going to be critical partners in that. And I don't know if you had anything to add, Paul.
And that is true. Matt Webb, the CEO of RTA, is here. We have been working with SEMCAG and RTA to try to look at ways to improve communications between all the area counties to see how we can move this initiative forward. And I think as time goes on, we're hoping we can get other counties to buy into this to be able to make this happen in the future.
Good morning and welcome. My question is, are we going to be doing some public service announcement for people with disabilities that use service dogs? Because some of us use public transportation, and I've been denied in the past with my first service dog. This is my second service dog with various limited access rights. And I do know the ADA front and back. And another question is, are you going to be able to include people with disabilities? Thank you.
I can't, can you help me answer the first part of the question about what we're doing communication?
Well, I think if I heard the question correctly, it's how, in terms of the mobility challenge and with some of these grants, we're going to accommodate individuals with service animals and support for that. And I think absolutely we need to ensure that, that our grants and our projects are working for the benefit of all people with disabilities.
Thank you for asking that question. The one thing that I could tell you that this challenge created was dialogue. Dialogue at not only a state level, but a community level, a downtown level, with the types of people that can help give more access to service dogs. So I hear you loud and clear, and thank you for sharing that question, and that's something that we're going to focus on. All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you for your question. I appreciate your standing up and speaking out. You're the voice for many people today, and I think you've also put a finer point on it for every one of us. What today's event is all about, connecting people with dignity and autonomy and ensuring that you've got the tools that you need to live a great life here in Michigan. So thank you, and thank you everybody. Thanks, Jeff.